breaking news as the Supreme Court announces that some of the cases it plans to tackle in the near term include a case that will have broad implications for rioters present at the Capitol on January 6th and also for former President Donald Trump. So the justices agreed to review a lower court's ruling that revived a charge against 3 defendants accused of obstructing an official proceeding, referring to the disruption of the certification on January 6th of Joe Biden's victory. So that also could impact Trump. As we know, special counsel Jack Smith has brought an obstruction charge, 2 of them, against Trump. Trump's trial in that case is slated to begin March 4th, but the Supreme Court's decision to hear the case could impact Trump's trial start date.
Garrett Miller of Dallas, Joseph Fisher of Boston, and Edward Jacob Lang of New York's Hudson Valley had their obstruction charges dismissed by a lower court, which the Biden DOJ then challenged. The Supreme Court is expected to hear the case in the next few months. So
this is very significant, deciding whether this law against obstructing an official proceeding was correctly applied to many of the January 6 defendants. There are 3 specifically have brought this legal action, but I think this law has been applied to lots and lots of people, way beyond the 3. And it has also been applied to Donald Trump. There are 4 indictments, there are 4 charges that are part of the Jack Smith indictment, and 2 of them are obstructing an official proceeding and conspiring with others to obstruct an official proceeding. So if the Supreme Court rules that what the January 6 people did, it might violate other things. They might have engaged in assault or vandalism, but their conduct, it was not obstructing an official proceeding. Then some of those charges could be thrown out, and then you'd have to consider, can you bring an obstruction case against Donald Trump, who obviously Trump didn't barge into the Capitol. He didn't smash any windows, go in and physically prevent the proceeding. So I would think the case against him might be even weaker.
Well, it's important that the law that is being applied here doesn't require the physical interruption of a proceeding. So this was a law that was written in the wake of the Enron scandal. The Washington Post reported just a few minutes ago. So it's the Corporate Fraud Accountability Act of 2002, and it holds that anyone who, quote, corruptly alters, destroys, mutilates, or conceals a record, document, or other object, or attempts to do so with the intent to impair the object's integrity or availability for use in official proceeding is guilty. That's the physical aspect. Or 2, otherwise obstructs, influences, or impedes any official proceeding or attempts to do so. Either can be punished. And so it's the otherwise word that's been in contention with the lower court being split on this issue. The majority deciding that the otherwise would apply to these more vague kinds of actions. But one judge, Carl J. Nichols, ruled that otherwise could only refer to other kinds of document tampering, like specific kinds of document tampering, perhaps in a digital form or something like that. So the majority opinion wrote that the Nichols ruling was a cramped document-focused interpretation that ignored the plain meaning of the words in the statute. And this is the central issue that the Supreme Court will be taking up. Now, it's also really important to note that when this news first broke, I think that there was a presumption that the immunity question, whether or not Donald Trump has presidential immunity question, which Jack Smith is also trying to expedite, is what's being decided here. That has not been taken up yet. And that's the one that people feel might have a much more significant effect on whether Trump will be found guilty of these more substantive crimes.
Yeah, I mean,
so we're still waiting on that.
Yes, this will affect the prosecution of Trump, though. If it can, I mean, it affects it either way, because either then those charges are legitimate or they might be significantly imperiled. I don't know how this works. Maybe you certainly know more about this than I do. With your Harvard Law degree, could Jack Smith just drop those charges and then proceed with the others? Well,
there's no reason to do so prematurely. We'll see what the court says.
Right. No, I mean in the wake of if a court were
yes,
to,
that's why you overcharge. That's why you overcharge. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So again, I don't know that this is going to be devastating one way or the other. I think it will definitely be read as a victory and a vindication of Donald Trump if these are thrown out. And not to mention, this isn't just about Donald Trump. As
no, the more significant outcome would be on people who were convicted on that basis could get there. I mean, there are already people in prison who are in prison because of that charge.
I do feel like that subjectively, is the weakest of the charges. If you want to accuse somebody of trespass, if you want to accuse somebody of vandalism, I think those are all pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But the connection between anything that happened on 1/6 physically in the building actually having the effect of obstructing the certification of the election, I think that's a long shot. It's less of a long shot for Donald Trump because, again, his charges are related to the longstanding the preceding fraud over the course of the previous weeks that is being alleged. But for the January 6th rioters, that seems thin.
Yeah, and again, this law was really specifically looking at, as you said, post-Enron, preventing corporate entities from shredding documents.
FBI bangs on the door, documents going to the shredder.
That's what they were trying to stop, which is totally different from this situation. So we will have to see what the Supreme Court thinks about this, if it applies also in this case.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll be very interesting. More Rising right after this.